More than 4,000 satellites circle the Earth. Every day, they uncover new, mysterious phenomena that defy explanation. The land of Medusa, where living things are turned into stone.
Everything on him is solidified. He's essentially become part of the landscape.
Nothing moving. The town that falls asleep.
When they wake up from this long sleep, they have no memory at all of what happened.
And the tomb of the god giant Antaeus.
Somebody was buried there, but somebody really big.
Baffling phenomena, mysteries from space. What on earth are they? March 6th, 2017. As NASA's Landsat 8 satellite passes over northeastern Tanzania, it captures an image of a strange glowing lake.
Red is all you see. This lake appears to be this monstrous presence, so unnatural a color.
This lake looks like the runoff from an industrial slaughterhouse.
But that's not all. The lake is known as the Medusa Lake. They say it turns anything that touches it into stone.
The legend is that Medusa was a beautiful woman.
Athena cursed her. Anyone who gazed directly upon her would be turned to stone.
Medusa is beheaded by the Greek hero Perseus, and her blood drips onto Africa. But the Medusa Lake in the image hasn't always been red. Previous satellite images show that its color is changing. Geologist Jess Phoenix is intrigued by the lake's strange chameleon waters and the legend of living things turning into stone. She travels 10,000 miles to Kilimanjaro, then journeys northwest to investigate the eerie lake up close.
I'm on my way to visit the weird red lake on the satellite image. The color appears in patches, and that's just strange to me. This is definitely not what you'd see in most healthy lake ecosystems. Is it contamination or something else entirely?
As she approaches the lake, she notices what appears to be a pattern or grid of stones stretching into the distance.
Oh, wow. This is really cool. This is not natural. Yeah, this is man-made.
It seems that these structures are the remains of an abandoned ancient settlement. Phoenix learns that these ruins are all that's left of what was once a thriving community called Angaruka. But around 300 years ago, everyone living here mysteriously disappears.
For a whole community just to pick up and leave, something really bad must have happened.
We're talking thousands of people here.
As Phoenix surveys the site, she discovers evidence of an ancient watering system.
My guess is that these people channelized the river, and the water flowed down, and then they could shut this to keep water in and then farm.
She wonders whether the water flowing into this town could have anything to do with the sudden disappearance of its people.
What would make the people leave? Because there's still water around today.
She considers if this water might be flowing out of or into the Medusa Lake seen in the satellite image. Phoenix presses on to the lake to investigate further.
Oh, wow.
The lake is vast, stretching 340 square miles. But it's not glowing red. It appears almost normal. As Phoenix approaches the shoreline, she notices strange skeletons on the ground. Skeletons which appear to be made of stone.
This is not normal. When something dies, everything scavenges it, usually. In the desert, nothing's wasted.
The stone skeletons are planted in the ground like statues.
It's a little rodent, and it looks frozen. It's twisted. I can't dislodge this little guy. Everything on him is just solidified. He's essentially become part of the landscape.
No wonder it's called Medusa Lake. It's a monstrous place that turns animals to stone.
To solve the mystery of the stone animals, Phoenix goes in search of an area of the lake that's red.
But I mean, look at this. This is, this redness, you don't see it every day.
On closer inspection, Phoenix discovers where the weird color comes from.
It's just an abundance of life. It's primitive, but it's life.
The lake is teeming with microscopic creatures.
There are tiny organisms called cyanobacteria that thrive in this environment. And it turns out, they're red.
When the population of these creatures explodes, the Medusa Lake becomes a shocking red. So much for the color. But what about the animal statues? Phoenix hopes her analysis of the water will shed some light on the mystery.
All right. 9.3, 9.4.
The test reveals bizarre levels of alkalinity.
This is well higher than what it should be.
What's more, a strange white crust surrounding the lake is similarly caustic.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Definitely carbonate rock.
What she finds leads Phoenix to believe that the lake must contain extraordinary levels of a carbonate substance, highly valued by the ancient Egyptians, natron.
Natron is a substance that has been used throughout ancient history, most notably in Egypt with the creation of mummies.
Natron sucks water from dead bodies, like a vampire drinks blood.
And that's what makes it so important for preservation.
Similarly, the strange animal statues around the lake become immersed in the natron water and are mummified. But Phoenix still doesn't know where such a powerful concentration of chemicals might have come from. She returns to the satellite image and scans it for further clues.
You know, what I've noticed is that there's a volcano just to the south of the lake. It looks like it's got some relatively fresh lava flows.
Just 20 or 30 miles south of the lake is one of the most unusual volcanoes in the world.
Locals call it the Mountain of God. Could it hold the key to the hellish waters of the Medusa Lake? Coming up, the town of the living dead.
They get weak. They pass out. They start falling asleep.
And Jess Phoenix gets up close with the Mountain of God.
I have been on volcanoes all over the world, and I have never been anywhere like this.
Africa, northern Tanzania. geologist Jess Phoenix is exploring the strange Medusa Lake that turns living things into stone. Can it explain the mysterious disappearance of a nearby tribe, the Nguruka? In search of answers, Phoenix goes to the volcano, which stands ominously close. It is called Oldoño Lengai.
Maasai people live in this area, and that volcano is sacred.
Before climbing the sacred volcano, she approaches the Maasai village at its base to talk with the tribe elder.
And Maasai meaning that is the mountain of God.
Phoenix learns that according to the Maasai, the volcano is home to the god Engai. When he is angry, the volcano erupts and causes terror all around, which is why the Maasai perform sacrifices to the volcano god.
So you just take one sheep, black one, and then after slaughtering that sheep, they left them internals. Yeah, that means they just pray to God.
Okay.
But sacrifices are not always enough to pacify the volcano. In 2007, there are a series of terrifying eruptions on the Mountain of God, which last almost a year.
It's definitely one of the most dangerous volcanoes in Africa.
The next morning, Phoenix sets off on the treacherous climb up the sacred volcano to investigate its link to the Medusa Lake.
It's good that it's early, and it looks nice and clear and quiet, but you cannot trust a volcano.
The terrain is harsh, the temperature punishing. About halfway up the mountain, Phoenix stumbles upon her first clue. A channel lined with an unexpected substance.
This place is so unusual. You don't get whites like this at other volcanoes.
On closer inspection, she realizes she's looking at cool, hard lava from previous eruptions.
I have been on volcanoes all over the world, and I have never been anywhere like this. This is absolutely incredible. These are not normal lavas, not at all.
The lava that comes out of Oldoño Lengai is this crazy, frothy sort of stuff.
And it runs across the surface like water. In fact, this is one of the only lavas in the world that you can't outrun.
And when the lava hardens, it turns from gray-black to a ghostly white. Phoenix knows something bizarre is going on this volcano. What she now needs to establish is how it might be connected to the Medusa Lake.
That's what I wanted. Oh, 9.8. Very alkaline. This is nitrocarbonatite. This is the only volcano in the world like this.
We found our smoking gun here. The same chemical elements that are found in the lake are also found in the lava from Oldoño Lengai.
But something still doesn't make sense. A volcanic eruption will send the statue-forming natron down into the Medusa Lake, but not in nearly sufficient quantities. The lake has a volume of 90 billion gallons. Phoenix has a hunch what might be going on and returns to the lake.
Yep, that is a hot spring. There's water flowing out of the valley floor right here.
A hot spring is evidence that the lake is directly linked to the volcano through an intricate system of underground faults.
It turns out that the plumbing system underneath these volcanoes is very complex.
It is possible that if the sacred volcano's underground tentacles reach as far as 20 miles or more, that at one time the deadly mixture of molten natron reached the unfortunate Angaruka, and they became victims of the curse of Medusa.
If this volcano spread alkalinity, maybe the water became toxic and all their crops died. It's possible all the people could have starved.
That would damage their crops. It would ruin that whole intricate system of irrigation that they had, and it would make life in that spot impossible.
We may never know for certain whether it was the curse of the Medusa Lake which killed or frightened away the Angaruka. But there is good reason for the locals to revere and fear this strange and terrifying volcano. Coming up, revealed from above, a giant mystery in Morocco.
What's the mound doing in the middle? I bet you that's what they thought was the giant's tomb.
And the unexplained Sleeping Beauty town.
The idea of a town catching some kind of a sleeping sickness that's totally unexplained is just frightening.
As the GOI-1 satellite passes over northwestern Kazakhstan, it captures an image of two neighboring towns on the banks of the Ishim River. To the east is a normal town. But to the west, the satellite shows Krasnogorsk. It is dead. Nothing and nobody is moving.
It's really strange to have these two towns next to each other. What happened to the city on the left?
What made it a ghost town when everyone is still living right next door?
The satellite image yields few clues. But when investigators consult local reports, they uncover a bizarre series of events. An unexplained sleeping sickness is sweeping through the area.
People all of a sudden start becoming ill, but in such a strange way. They get weak, they pass out, they start falling asleep.
For no apparent reason, residents suddenly collapse.
Can you imagine sitting in your home with your children, watching television, and then all of a sudden you look around and one of them is completely asleep, you can't get them up?
As they sleep, they hallucinate. They see snakes in their beds and worms eating their hands.
They imagine snails crawling all over their body, or they feel like their heads are going to explode.
Like a town of sleeping beauties, victims can stay asleep for days.
When they wake up from this long sleep, they have no memory at all of what happened.
Investigators look for possible clues in the industrial history of the area. Declassified Russian documents reveal there was once a uranium mine just 2 miles outside Krasnogorsk.
During the 1950s, the Soviets discovered uranium deposits located right next to this town.
Kazakhstan is sitting on 15% of the world's known uranium deposits.
Their uranium holdings were an important resource as the Soviets developed their nuclear weapons program.
During the Soviet era, the now ghost town of Krasnogorsk was a bustling city. But its main industry shuts down quite suddenly in 1991.
The Iron Curtain collapsed and Kazakhstan became its own independent nation. So at that point, there was no need to continue the uranium mining operation.
Without work, most residents of Krasnogorsk are forced to leave. But for the few staying behind, the consequences are even more devastating.
the Russians just upped and left. It wasn't as if they said, well, now we really need to clean this site up. We need to think about how to make this place safe for human occupation. They didn't care.
At first, scientists think there might be a connection between the closure of the uranium mine and the mysterious zombie disease.
This has to be part of the cause here. And when investigators go and take a look at the mine, they find that it's leaking radon gas.
Radon gas is a deadly product of the radioactive decay of uranium ore.
This notion of a toxic gas leaking out of a mine and poisoning a nearby population, driving them to this kind of like mass psychosis, it's almost like something out of a Stephen King novel.
But there's a problem. Radon gas is indeed deadly. It can cause lung cancer, but it doesn't put you to sleep.
Radon gas doesn't explain this weird sickness. It doesn't explain why people were sleeping for days on end. So there's still a mystery there.
Following tests in the local area, the Kazakh government releases its official explanation of the events.
Kazakh officials announced that the carbon monoxide levels were 10 times bigger than what they were supposed to be.
Carbon monoxide is deadly. It starves the body of oxygen.
Carbon monoxide competes against oxygen in the blood and binds more readily. So as people accumulate more carbon monoxide in their blood system, their brain is essentially becoming depleted of oxygen.
If your body's trying to conserve oxygen and slow down its metabolism, what easier way to do that than go to sleep?
If this is what's happening, animals too should be affected, but they aren't. Until further independent tests, the source of the Kazakh zombie disease remains a mystery.
The really strange part about this to me is that a lot of people want to investigate what's happening here, but the Kazakhstan government is not letting people in to find out.
In any case, Kazakh officials aren't taking any risks, and the remaining residents are being relocated. The strange nightmare continues. Coming up, alien activity in Australia.
There have been reports of very strange aircraft and blue and gold lights.
And an ancient stone ring hidden in plain sight.
This is clearly just an incredible feat of engineering.
Historian Andrew Goff has been studying ancient monuments for over 20 years. Scouring images of North Africa, he comes across a structure that baffles him. A satellite has captured what appears to be a large stone circle.
Everyone knows about the stone circles in Britain. You have Stonehenge, Avebury, you have hundreds of them. What's a stone circle doing in Morocco?
Goff discovers the stone circle is called Masora, but finds very little else about it. In search of answers, he travels to the ancient city of Marrakesh at the foot of the Atlas Mountains. Goff makes his way to Masora in the far north of Morocco, over 300 miles away. By prehistoric standards, this site is gigantic.
Fantastic. Look at that. That's got to be, what, 15 feet tall?
Goff counts 168 massive stones. Then he notices something unusual about the center of the circle.
What's the mound doing in the middle? I bet you that's what they thought was the giant's tomb.
From the limited material available, Goff knows the Romans believed Masora was the tomb of the son of Poseidon, god of sea and water, and Gaia, the earth goddess. According to legend, the god giant Antaeus is invincible until he encounters Hercules.
Hercules is the strongest man on Earth, but that's just it. He's still a man. Whereas Antaeus, the giant, is invincible as long as his feet are touching the ground.
Hercules realizes the only way to conquer Antaeus is to lift him off the ground and crush him to death in midair.
So for generations, the legends built up that this mound may have been the place where the giant Antaeus was buried.
Goff sees he's not the first to show an interest in the mystery mound.
Oh, it's like someone's cut right through the center of the mound.
Goff approaches a man living by the site, hoping to find out who's been digging here and what, if anything, they found. Sharif tells him a Spanish archaeologist visited the site over 80 years ago. In the 1930s, it seems, Cesar Luis de Montalban attempted to excavate the site. He never published what he found, and no one since has been given permission to touch the site. Goff starts to analyze the Neolithic stones themselves. Stone circles are typically found not in Africa, but in Northern Europe, the wonderful and mysterious creations of prehistoric man. Almost 1,000 of them are in Britain, and their purpose has something to do with the heavens.
The stones are placed in such a way to coincide with the movement of the sun on specific seasonal dates of importance, so such as the summer or the winter solstice.
This is what they use to time their planting seasons. Everybody knows when a crop is ripe, but the tricky bit is to know when to plant it.
Goff checks if any of the stones are aligned to a position which, in Neolithic times, would have marked the rising of the sun at the summer solstice.
Okay. It's telling me sunrise on June 21st would be right here. And look at that.
Stone number 30 could well have been a marker stone, making this a giant astronomical calendar.
To me, that's validation of the fact that this was built with the same intent as the British stone circles, and I think that is really incredible.
For Goff, finding a Neolithic stone circle in Africa is like finding a pyramid in Kansas. He goes on to measure the diameter of the structure.
Okay, so it's telling me that's 160 feet.
Goff repeats the measurement from another position and discovers something unexpected.
180 feet. It's not the same as the other axis.
This stone circle isn't a circle after all. It's an oval, an ellipse. Goff believes this makes it special.
The most ancient stone circles are an ellipse, like this one.
Britain's oldest Neolithic stone rings, Stennis and Callanish, are both elliptical, but they're much smaller. Here, in a remote neighborhood in North Africa, could be sitting the oldest, largest elliptical stone structure in existence. Perhaps this is where it all began.
I'm wondering, could this be the site where man went from being hunter-gatherers to farmers and needed to know when the seasons changed precisely so they could plant their crops? Could this be the place where that technology was born and then brought to the UK?
But something doesn't fit. The very oldest British stone circles are located near water, vital in prehistoric times for transporting such huge stones. What's more, this is meant to be the tomb of Antaeus, son of Poseidon, god of water.
But I look around. I don't see a drop of water in any direction.
Goff returns to the satellite image And then he sees something.
It's not a road. It looks like a riverbed. It's dried up, of course. But it's kind of going right along here. That is definitely a riverbed.
For Goff, this confirms that British stone circles may have originated here in Africa. It's a highly controversial theory, but there is some support for it in recent genetic studies.
People have been studying ancient DNA and have come to the conclusion that people were moving much more dramatically and radically in this period than we ever thought.
When you think about a site like Stonehenge, you think one of the oldest cultural sites in the world, but it's really remarkable to think that even a site as old as Stonehenge could have been inspired by something in North Africa.
Coming up, a gaping hole threatens to eat Arizona.
This feature isn't just a local anomaly. This feature is big.
And sinister CIA secrets in the outback.
It's a dangerous place out there. Whoever has more intelligence or has more information usually wins.
Northern Territory, Australia. Witnesses report a string of unsettling sightings in the middle of the outback.
There have been reports of very strange aircraft and different lights, like blue and gold lights. Some suggest that it might be UFO and alien activity.
So you can't tell me nothing weird is going on here.
These strange events appear to be coming from one place. Investigators study satellite images of the area. Where there should be nothing but desert, they find what looks like a secure facility.
It is this massive facility, all these cool Death Star-like domes in the middle of nowhere.
There's a barrier fence protecting the entire complex, so it's also very secretive.
Declassified documents reveal the clandestine facility goes under the name of Pine Gap. It is built at the height of the Cold War. The Australian public are told it's a space research facility, but it holds a darker secret.
This is an American facility on Australian territory, but there's rumors to suggest that even the Australians don't get the full picture of what's going on here.
Behind the scenes, the CIA runs the station to collect intelligence on the Soviet Union's secret missile program. But the facility doesn't shut down when the Cold War ends. It grows into a vast complex.
In the last 50 years, it's gone from a couple of thousand square feet to a couple of 100,000 square feet of floor space.
They're expanding the buildings, adding antennas, moving the equipment. They continue to pour money into this place.
Its purpose today is a closely guarded secret. Many wonder whether there's a connection to the strange lights witnessed in the area. Investigators consider if the peculiar white domes punctuating the facility hold the key to what's going on.
These domes have little tiny flat areas. These are how these geodesic domes are built that are used to cover sensitive electronics.
These geodesic domes are actually called radomes. They're protecting a microwave antenna underneath.
In total, 38 state-of-the-art radar dishes and domes point skyward. This suggests that Pine Gap is being used as a super powerful intelligence gathering station.
It's a dangerous place out there. And whoever has more intelligence or has more information usually wins.
Is it possible that they're listening to everything we're saying? I can't say no to that because we know that there are programs like that in place around the world.
Classified documents leaked by whistleblower Edward Snowden confirm the site's key role in supporting intelligence activities. But they also reveal that there's something else going on at Pine Gap. Some believe Pine Gap is a control center for U.S. drone attacks worldwide.
It's not crazy at all to think that someone's piloting a drone far from the theater and watching exactly what the drone is doing, seeing the footage and making decisions.
But neither intelligence gathering or drone piloting can account for the strange objects reported to have been seen close to the Pine Gap station. Observers point to similarities between Pine Gap and another top-secret U.S. military site. Like Pine Gap, it's located in the middle of the desert. Like Pine Gap, it's a high-security facility protected by a no-fly zone.
You look at Pine Gap, it's remote, it's secret. It's like Area 51.
The main purpose of the high-security U.S. airbase known as Area 51 remains a highly guarded secret. But records suggest that it has been, among other things, a test site for weird experimental aircraft.
People have seen these triangular-shaped crafts flying around.
But when analysts take a closer look at the satellite image of Pine Gap, they notice that something is missing.
There's no runways around here, so any of the aircraft that would be here would actually have to just take off vertically, sort of like a helicopter does. But there's no aircraft whatsoever.
For now, the strange lights witnessed in the Australian outback remain unexplained. And what exactly goes on at Pine Gap is unlikely to be revealed anytime soon.
I don't have all the answers. No one does except the people that are inside this complex, and they're not talking. So for now anyway, we're gonna be outside the fence around Pine Gap.
Coming up, a monster crack threatening to tear apart Arizona.
If this crack grows, it could split the town in half.
Pinal County, Arizona. In April 2016, the WorldView 3 satellite passes over an area just south of Arizona City and spots a huge crack.
It looks as if the Earth has just opened up and split.
When scientists measure the crack, they discover it's over 2 miles long.
This feature isn't just a local anomaly. This feature is big, and that provides a pretty serious indication that powerful forces are at work somewhere.
Analyst Ken Joyce uses Digital Globe's Secure Watch technology to try to find out what's happening.
Using historic satellite imagery, we can figure out when this crack started to form. As I look back to images that were captured in 2014, I don't see any evidence of a crack. Scrolling forward to 2016, boom, the crack appears.
Even more shocking is what Joyce discovers next. Arizona is continuing to split open.
The alarming thing is that the crack continues to make its way north and is now endangering this populated area here.
Investigators need to find out what is causing the Earth to split, and find out quick. At first, they consider if it could be seismic activity.
Probably the first thing that you would think of is that something geologically is happening, something like an earthquake.
But this doesn't stack up. There are no reports of earthquakes here, and that's not all.
For the most part, earthquakes don't make openings. Earthquakes make shaking.
Investigators wonder whether the crack could instead be man-made. Military historian Martin Morgan is reminded of a dark chapter in the history of the U.S. Army 5 decades ago.
In the 1960s, the Army came up with this bright idea, taking toxic waste, turning it into a liquid, and then pumping this toxic wastewater into underground cavities.
It all starts with the unexpected attack on Pearl Harbor that propels the U.S. into World War II. Just 6 months later, the Army opens a new weapons factory in Colorado. The Rocky Mountain Arsenal goes on to produce lethal chemical weapons, including sarin and mustard gas. But over the years, it also creates millions of gallons of toxic waste that is simply dumped underground.
That didn't work out so well because it caused earthquakes and it cracked the earth.
The crack that is seen in the image, it looks a lot like the descriptions of the cracks that appeared after the Army pumped toxic wastewater into Colorado.
There is a strong military presence in Arizona, with 7 bases across the state. And investigators consider if this might be a clue to the origin of the crack. But when scientists visit the site and take soil samples, they uncover no evidence of toxic contamination. Searching for another explanation, they notice that nearby groundwater levels are low.
Arizona is a very dry place. Farmers are pumping groundwater to irrigate their plants.
So if you start extracting large amounts of water, you're going to create an empty spot where that water used to be underground.
Geologists now believe that growing underground voids are causing the Earth's surface to split open.
All of a sudden, the landscape can't hold itself up. And when that happens, 2 subsiding land masses pull away from each other, and you're left with this gaping chasm.
What's worse, this is not the only chasm in the area. Scientists have now mapped 170 miles of similar cracks elsewhere in the state, and they keep discovering more. The nightmare scenario is that a monster crack will swallow a town.
If I walked out into my backyard and saw a chasm stretching off to the horizon that was 10 feet wide, I would call the moving company right away and get out as fast as I could.
They're watching you. More than 4,000 satellites circle the Earth. Every day, they uncover new mysterious phenomena that defy explanation. The hunt for the greatest treasure trove in history. From space.
That green square in the middle of the forest could conceal one of the biggest treasures we've ever found.
A mystery Martian mound moving across the face of the Earth.
It's just completely demolished everything that's standing in its way.
And investigating a real-life horror story.
Prisoners ate worms, rats, some of them even resorted to cannibalism.
Baffling phenomena. Mysteries from space. What on earth are they? The Amazon. Over 2 million square miles of forbidding, impervious jungle. Somewhere in here is believed to lie a hidden city that has beguiled explorers and archaeologists for 500 years. Paititi.
Paititi is a legend among explorers. This is a lost city of gold of the Inca Empire.
According to historical texts, the fortified jungle city contains a truly vast hoard of treasure.
We're talking gold and possibly jewels to rival the crown jewels of England and Fort Knox combined.
French explorer Thierry Jamin has spent 20 years of his life trying to find Paititi. He believes satellite images could give him the breakthrough he needs.
On recherche des signes de nature géométrique qui pourraient nous mettre sur la voie d'intervention humaine.
Paititi is rumored to lie in a region to the east of the Andes Mountains. In 2012, as he and his team scan a remote valley in Peru, they spot something unusual in the jungle topography.
Ça a été pour nous vraiment un très grand choc. Et on a vu qu'il s'agissait d'une montagne bien particulière, puisque c'est presque un cube en pleine forêt amazonienne.
The image reveals a square feature protruding from a 6,000-foot-high ridge. Jaman believes it could be the archaeological footprint of a large fortified city, which has been devoured by the rainforest.
That green square in the middle of the forest could conceal one of the biggest treasures we've ever found.
Jaman is preparing to trek to the isolated location from the Andean town of Cusco. It will take a party of 18 to battle through the jungle. A brutal journey that will take weeks.
Là, on prépare la logistique. Avant de partir, on part dans 2 jours.
Besides the natural perils, this mountainous jungle also hides illegal loggers and cocaine traffickers.
Trying to get to this location is the real deal when it comes to exploration.
It is so far from civilization, there's no safety net, and if you stumble, you'll die.
The first leg is easy. 240 miles by road to the small port of Ibochote. But then, for almost 100 miles, it's a tangled mass of hostile, trackless, deadly jungle. Jaman must rely on the tracking skills of the local Matsingenga tribesmen, whose survival skills and knowledge of the Amazon is unsurpassed. For Jaman, the Matsingenga's oral histories provide confirmation that he's looking in the right place for the lost city of gold.
And the legend says that the city of Paititi is found by a square mountain next to a square lagoon and twin lakes. And what do we see in this picture? That's it.
Les témoignages des Matsingenga et les données récoltées par nos images satellites, on est pratiquement convaincus de trouver Paititi.
The square mountain sits inside the vast area once controlled by the Inca. In the 15th century, its population of 16 million was the largest in the world, amassing vast wealth.
The Incas had more gold and silver than almost any other culture on record because they lived in the Andes Mountains, volcanic igneous mountains that were really rich in gold.
In the years following the arrival of the Spanish in the early 16th century, conquistadors plundered $17 billion of Incan gold and silver. The Incas hide what they can of their treasure. And in the land of the Incas, the greatest fortress of all is the jungle.
On commence à entendre parler d'une ville mystérieuse qui se cache quelque part à l'est de l'Empire Inca.
Just 3 days into their trek, and Jaman and the team are encountering the same life-threatening terrain and conditions that thwarted the conquistadors' attempts to find Paititi centuries earlier.
Pouring rain, very slippery slopes, rushing streams and rivers that confound the efforts of the most tenacious explorers.
C'est pas facile et c'est aussi très frustrant, mais on fait tout pour.
There is documentary evidence to support the existence of this city of gold. In 2001, an Italian archaeologist discovered a manuscript in the Vatican archives, which dates back to the conquistadors.
In 1600, one of the missionaries in South America brought a letter back to the Pope, and it told tale of this vast city of gold.
According to the manuscript, the city of gold lies in deep jungle northeast of Cusco. Roughly the same position as the raised square feature in the satellite image. Jaman and his team are 6 days into their trek when they hit their first major setback. A swollen river that threatens to sweep away his supplies and his men.
Mal tiempo, el río ha crecido y no podemos partir a la ruta que debemos seguir en la expedición.
The enforced 15-mile diversion adds several costly days to the team's journey. Worse still, it means they're eating into their precious supplies.
The jungle is littered with the remnants of failed expeditions. It's an easy place to lose your way, and some would say to lose your mind.
12 days into their expedition, and their luck turns for the better.
Aujourd'hui, on a fait déjà un bon parcours et il n'est que 11 heures du matin.
Then, through a break in the trees, Jaman catches the first glimpse of his prize. GPS data confirms that this is the raised square feature in the satellite image.
Elle apparaît beaucoup plus mystérieuse et étrange que sur nos clichés satellites.
Could you imagine if this turns out to be Paititi?
Coming up, captured by satellite, China's mystery military strongholds.
What a moated island is doing in the middle of the Gobi Desert, it's a mystery.
And explorer Thierry Jaman discovers the curse of Paititi.
This isn't a game. People die.
French explorer Thierry Jaman is deep in the Amazon jungle. 14 days into an expedition to reach a square mountain captured in a satellite image. The site, he believes, of the legendary lost city of gold, Paititi. But progress has been painfully slow, and supplies are running out.
C'est rageant de ne pas pouvoir avancer plus rapidement. On a encore 6-7 jours de vivre.
Indigenous Amazonian people are permitted to catch and eat wildlife within the forest. But hunting for food takes time and is unreliable. An even bigger worry is a supply of drinkable, uncontaminated water.
On a passé là, ces 2 derniers jours sans eau. On est tous déshydratés.
Jaman now knows he and his team risked the same fate as hundreds of explorers before them. The most famous was the English adventurer Colonel Percy Fawcett. After a final letter to his wife from deep in the Amazon on May 29, 1925, Fawcett disappears. His body is never recovered. Some historians speculate that he runs out of supplies and starves to death.
This isn't a game. People die. People simply are never heard of again.
For some in the team, there are other dangers ahead, not all of them natural. Jaman's team leader is ex-soldier Jose Montes.
He visto unos destellos de luz inmensa y eso me ha causado concierto. ¿Qué será lo que existe ahí?
When Montes reports what he's seen to the Matsingenga guides, they reveal that many members of their tribe avoid these mountains, believing them to be inhabited by the devil.
Nadie puede acercarse, tienen ese temor de acercarse en ese sitio.
According to legend, Paititi is inhabited by supernatural beings, its gates guarded by giant double-headed serpents known as the Amaru.
Il semble que plus on s'approche de cette mystérieuse montagne, les Matsiganga semblent craindre cette fameuse montagne.
The team has been laboring through the jungle for 2.5 weeks. They are eking out their supplies as best they can, but the vegetation is growing more dense, infested with snakes and insects. And just 15 miles from the base of the square mountain, a torrential deluge floods the area. Progress is impossible.
Là, on est bloqué depuis 3 jours à ce campement en raison de la pluie.
The rainstorm forces the team to consume almost all of what's left of their provisions. It drives wildlife into hiding, preventing the guides from hunting for more food. Jaman sees that he is putting the lives of his team in danger. He has no choice but to abandon the expedition.
Nous arrivons après 20 jours d'expédition au bout de nos vivres. Vous ne pouvez pas savoir notre frustration de devoir rebrousser chemin si près du but.
Even for Jaman, an explorer with 20 years' experience, the formidable Amazon has proved to be a tougher adversary than he anticipated. The latest quest to find and reach Paititi has ended in failure. But Jaman may be the first person in history to have glimpsed the fabled city and lived to tell the tale.
Nous n'avons aucun doute que Paititi se trouve au sommet de cette montagne.
It has reaffirmed his belief that this satellite image is the key to solving the 500-year-old mystery.
This satellite image is absolutely compelling, but until Terry or some other intrepid explorer actually sets foot on the site and sees with their own eyes, we'll never know if this is the lost city of Paititi.
Coming up, a magnetic Martian mountain advancing across planet Earth.
It's extremely strange, moving constantly, but never separating.
And 25 million people dead. What's the connection with this mystery moat?
People couldn't escape to anywhere except death.
March 6th, 2017. An Earth observation satellite passes over China's 500,000 square mile Gobi Desert. In a remote corner of the featureless landscape, it captures an unusual image.
There's nothing for miles and miles, and then all of a sudden, you see this dark ring.
Zooming in, investigators discover it's a ring of water surrounding an elevated structure.
This is a really weird image because it's one of the driest places on Earth. And there's water here. There's water in the middle of the desert.
What a moated island is doing in the middle of the Gobi Desert, it's a mystery.
Scale analysis reveals the moat is half a mile long.
This clearly looks like some massive defensive feature. You even have an access way, a single access way to the interior.
Moats were protective devices for ancient civilization, so maybe this evidence of an ancient settlement.
If this is some kind of ancient fort, a clue to who built it could lie just 30 miles to the north. These are the remains of a fortified settlement known as Karakoto, or the Black City.
Karakoto was occupied by a group called the Taguts in the 11th and 12th centuries.
The land of the Tanguts is the gateway to the famous Silk Road. It makes them rich, but also a tempting target. They build fortified outposts to protect their cities. But But image analyst Mark D'Antonio believes the structure captured by satellite image isn't one of them.
If I zoom into these buildings here on the island, you see that they seem to be very likely modern construction, as in sometime in the 20th century these were probably built.
This 20th century time frame and the structure's remote desert location leads military analyst Mike Pavlik to consider if the moated formation is connected to China's brutal Maoist past.
Deserts are traditionally used by militaries and governments to put things that you don't want people to see.
Intelligence analysts calculate that China's vast interior hides over 1,000 secret prison labor camps, many dating back almost 70 years, some still in use today.
So maybe it's a Chinese political prison because it's so isolated and they can be controlled and captive.
That would explain why we have a moat here, because maybe this was a prison island.
China's first prison camps are established in the 1950s by Communist Chairman Mao Zedong, as he ruthlessly purges the country of anyone who dares to disagree with him. During his 27-year rule, an estimated 100 million men, women, and children are incarcerated in vast labor camps.
They were supposed to learn the essence of communism and working with their hands and being, with the people.
In Mao's camps, prisoners are sentenced to hard labor, 12 hours a day, often for decades on end, in brutal conditions. Many starve to death. Those who survive do so by resorting to the unthinkable.
Prisoners ate worms, rats, even human waste. Some of them resorted to cannibalism.
People couldn't escape to anywhere except death.
Mao's labor camps claim over 25 million lives, double the number of civilians killed by Hitler's regime. But when Mark D'Antonio reanalyzes the image, he finds evidence to suggest the moat is not to keep people in, but to keep enemies out.
When we look at this image real close, we see that there's two round objects at the top of the hill. If these are gun emplacements, there is value to this being a fortified emplacement because these guns can hit targets out here. If you zoom out a little bit more, you find these 4 triangles. And we can actually see that these had trench lines in there.
And this is not the only feature of its kind. When analysts scan satellite images of the region, they discover 8 more similar structures. Most are located within 75 miles of China's border with neighboring Mongolia, a historical ally of Russia. Historians believe this gives a clue to their purpose.
Perhaps this was part of China's border facilities in its conflict against the Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union and China are the 2 great communist powers of the Cold War era. But far from being close allies, they hold each other in deep mistrust.
It's an incident that's very often forgotten in the West, but in the late 60s, the world was on the edge of nuclear holocaust. The Chinese and the Soviets almost came to nuclear war.
The communist powers were imperial military dictatorships, competing aggressively for territory and influence over subject states.
These divisions began under Stalin and Mao. No surprise, they both wanted power for themselves. They both wanted to be the leader of the international communist movement.
Relations between the communist superpowers deteriorate further when Stalin dies in 1953.
Mao was very critical when Stalin's successor, Khrushchev, started negotiating with the United States. Mao thought, this is outrageous, you're negotiating with the enemy.
Declassified CIA documents reveal that both sides increased their military presence in border regions like the one in the satellite image, installing thousands of nuclear weapons.
An outpost like this would have been a very advantageous place to supply you as you go to the front lines.
But this communist Cold War ended almost 50 years ago. The water in the moat looks fresh. Could this mean the forts are once again under active military command?
China's known for its secrecy, so you've got to wonder what's going on here. It looks almost like China's gearing up for something.
Coming up, Nazis, mummies, and the hunt for Cleopatra's jewels.
We have to ask the question, who's doing the digging and what were they looking for?
And investigating the unstoppable black blob.
It may end up in some nearby town or city eventually.
July 11th, 2014. The GeoEye-1 satellite flies over Tanzania at over 17,000 miles per hour. As it passes high above the Serengeti grasslands, it captures a strange black mass in the landscape below.
This thing is big, about 80 feet wide and 200 feet long.
It's the only thing of this color anywhere around for miles, and it just doesn't make sense.
When geologist Jess Phoenix studies the image, she realizes she has seen something like this before, just not on our planet.
So this image makes me think of something that we see on Mars.
The structures are curved mounds of Martian sand known as Barchan dunes.
The Barchan shape is a crescent, and it's got two horns or arms that extend, one on either side.
On the red planet, Barchan dunes cluster in fields over 600 miles long. And that's what makes the lone structure in the image all the more mysterious.
This is different than what we see on Mars because it's not a series. This is just one. That in and of itself is pretty interesting.
Phoenix is intrigued by the Martian mound and travels to Tanzania to see if she can uncover clues as to how it could have formed.
I'm really racking my brain trying to come up with an explanation. Maybe it's man-made?
The satellite image was taken over the Olduvai Gorge, where the first humans are thought to have evolved almost 2 million years ago.
We call this site the cradle of humanity because of the intense diversity and the sheer density of fossils and other material remains that we have of our earliest human ancestors.
Despite extensive excavations here, archaeologists have found no evidence to suggest early man built giant mounds like this one.
Wow, that is really dark. And it's pretty big, too.
Up close, Phoenix confirms the structure is no man-made mound, but a giant black dune, shaped much like the ones on Mars. But then she spots something truly bizarre. There is a trail or scar stretching from the hill over the horizon.
This thing's on the move. It's almost like it's alive.
As it's moved across this plain, it's just completely demolished everything that's standing in its way.
Historical images reveal that every year, the dune moves around 100 feet across the Serengeti.
It's extremely strange because we have this single pile of sand moving constantly, but never separated.
Phoenix studies the dune for clues to explain its movement.
So, we have a really big angle change right here. So that means the wind is only buffeting this thing from one side. The wind comes across and pushes the material up, and then when it reaches a certain point, it falls down.
Meteorological data reveals that the winds here almost always blow from the east. This explains the dune's inexorable journey westward across the landscape, but not its strange black color or why it retains its shape. Phoenix considers if the answer lies in the dune's geology.
This stuff is pebbles. This is a very fine sand. So we've got a big jump in texture here. Usually you see this sort of fine sand in volcanic ash.
Phoenix's analysis suggests that the weird moving dune wasn't formed from rocks and sand on this barren plain. It was spewed out of a volcano.
Volcanoes produce ash that is really rich in iron and manganese.
This hill is weird, and gets weirder still when Phoenix approaches it with a magnet.
Oh, look, you can see the grains jumping right now. That is strongly magnetic. The grains, the individual grains, are each magnetized. That's what's keeping this sand in one big dune as it moves across the floor of this valley. So in looking again at the satellite image, where did it come from, is my next question.
Phoenix spots a volcano on the satellite image and follows the trail 50 miles east to its foot. The entire area is covered in the same fine magnetic material she saw at the Black Dune.
We have magnetism.
Phoenix can't take samples from the caldera as the volcano is active. But she believes the moving mound originated in an iron-rich cloud of superheated ash from one of its historic eruptions.
And the wind would have carried the ash and those heavy minerals and deposited them there on the plain where it all clumped together.
Just which eruption created the strange dune and why there is only one of them crawling across the Serengeti remains a mystery. Whatever the answers, this moving Martian mound appears to be unstoppable.
We don't know how long it will continue to move for. It may end up in some nearby town or city eventually.
Coming up, captured by satellite, a toxic plume that scientists can't explain.
People need answers, right? You don't just become sick for nothing.
And digging into the mountain of the dead.
You would have met your demise and be trapped in some type of a dusty tomb.
December 2012. The GeoEye-1 satellite passes over Egypt's 2,500 square mile western desert. It captures a small oasis town called Siwa, and in its center, what looks like a pockmarked hill.
What I'm seeing in this picture is a mountain of some kind, absolutely riddled with holes, like Swiss cheese.
This looks like a termite mound, but what we're looking at is absolutely massive.
At first, military analysts believe its location is the clue to what made the holes in the mountain.
During World War II, this area was contested by the British and Germans.
Fire! From 1940 to 1943, a bloody battle is fought between Allied and Axis forces for control of North Africa. Siwa's desert oasis becomes strategically critical, offering water and respite for some of the Allies' elite fighting forces.
The long-range desert group were based there. They were the forerunner to the famous SAS. Of course, that made it a very attractive target for the Axis forces.
Under the command of Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, German and Italian troops target Siwa.
During 1942, the Italian Air Force carried out a bombing attack on the area that resulted in the deaths of a large number of people.
Investigators wonder if the strange markings on the mound are the result of intensive bomb damage. But image analyst Mark D'Antonio is not convinced.
That would have to be one pretty precision strike because all the craters are in one location.
Closer investigation reveals that the locals fear the mountain, which they consider sacred. Investigators notice the holes are of a similar shape and size. They do not look natural.
So if this is evidence of excavation, we have to ask the question, who's doing the digging and what were they looking for?
Ancient texts reveal that during the Roman era, Egypt is a major exporter of precious stones.
Egypt was one of the very first countries to do gem mining on a major scale.
The jewel that most captivated Queen Cleopatra was the emerald. Thousands of her gems come from a great mine on the eastern shores of Egypt. Analysts notice that the narrow shaft entrances at Cleopatra's mines bear a striking resemblance to the holes burrowed into the strange mound in the satellite image.
Mining is not for the faint of heart. These miners make tunnels that are barely big enough for themselves to fit into.
If there was some type of a collapse, you would have met your demise and be trapped in some type of dusty tomb.
But archaeologist Jeff Rose's analysis of Siwa's geology suggests the strange mound is not an ancient emerald mine.
This is sedimentary limestone, and precious stones don't form in sedimentary limestone. They need pressure and they need time, neither of which you have here.
To archaeologist Karen Bellinger, the way the holes are laid out looks remarkably familiar.
Really brings to mind another site in Egypt where there's a number of caves which are accessed from holes in the ground, much like these.
Near the ancient city of Aswan, 500 miles south of Siwa, on the banks of the Nile, sits this similarly pockmarked feature.
This place is called the Tombs of the Nobles. It's a burial ground, what we call a necropolis. These holes in the ground lead to these rough-hewn caverns in which we find buried Egyptian elite, military commanders, and secular leaders.
When archaeologists gain access to the vast mound, they confirm the holes spotted in the satellite image are entrances to tombs.
They've been carved right out of the limestone and have been there for thousands of years. This whole thing seems to be a hierarchy. You have people on the outside who could only afford a small place, and then as you go up the mound, you have much more elaborate tombs.
It's feasible that perhaps we may find a very important individual buried here.
Inside this mountain of the dead, investigators discover something intriguing.
These tombs are from a variety of cultures, so it suggests different foreigners were coming into this region from the outside, burying their dead there.
Archaeologists believe something special is bringing kings and nobles from far and wide to the Mountain of the Dead. According to inscriptions on a nearby temple, there was once an oracle here, one with extraordinary powers of divination and prophecy.
The story of Alexander the Great coming to get advice from the oracle and essentially receiving the keys to Egypt, that is, becoming the anointed pharaoh who has legitimacy in ruling Egypt.
On his deathbed, Alexander asks for his body to be buried at the oracle's temple in Siwa. Yet to this day, no one knows for certain where the great king's body rests, and much of the Mountain of the Dead remains unexplored.
Finding where Alexander the Great is buried would be probably the greatest archaeological discovery of all time.
Coming up, a mystery noxious mist spreads terror in England.
I wouldn't stay here. I don't know what it is, but I know it's not good.
August 29th, 2017. A satellite flying 400 miles above the English Channel captures something unusual in the waters below.
It is a plume of green smoke coming out of the sea.
Image analysis suggests that the green plume is 2 miles long, and it's moving towards the English coast.
It's almost like there's this new volcano coming up out of the English Channel, just spewing like a sulfuric gas.
I don't know what it is, but I know it's not good.
Three hours after the image is taken, the dispersed green mist rolls onto beaches crowded with unsuspecting vacationers.
At first they were just thinking, oh, well, look, we're getting fog off the water, and they probably didn't pay much attention to it.
Then all of a sudden people start reacting to it.
Visibility's just gone, and you can smell that smell now. Some sort of gas or something. I wouldn't stay here.
People getting sick and nauseous, dizzy.
Within minutes, the once busy beaches lie deserted.
It's like a Stephen King novel. This eerie mist begins to descend out of nowhere, turning your beach day into this horror moment.
When 150 people require medical treatment, authorities realize they have a problem. They send in hazmat teams. The British government launches an investigation.
People need answers, right? You don't just become sick for nothing.
The mystery of the toxic sea mist comes to the attention of marine biologist Rob Nelson.
When I see this satellite image, the first thing that I think of is some organism in the sea, algae.
Algae are simple, primitive organisms which use sunlight to create energy. In summer months, such as when the satellite image was taken, and with the right conditions, colonies several miles long appear on the surface of the sea.
Algal blooms in general pop up when you have an influx of nutrients. The algae starts to reproduce and you get these algal blooms.
Although only a small percentage of algal blooms are toxic, biologists confirm that some can produce noxious gases like ammonia.
They're essentially pumping out poisonous gases, and we know that it can also affect humans. If you were close enough to breathe this stuff in, it could really mess you up.
But the algal explanation doesn't add up. The strong currents of the English Channel should make it nearly impossible for it to grow here. And when scientists from the nearby Plymouth Marine Lab head to the patch of sea in the satellite image, they find no trace of algae in the water.
They didn't find any toxic algae, which begs the question, what caused this toxic mist if it wasn't algae?
Investigators shift their focus to the English Channel itself, the world's busiest stretch of water.
When you look at the satellite image, you can see that it's clearly coming from out of the water. The next question is, what's down there in the English Channel?
Historical maritime records reveal that throughout history, the English Channel is one of the most perilous shipping straits on the planet.
The entire English Channel is full of sunken ships. It's like a ship graveyard.
Marine archaeologists have cataloged thousands of shipwrecks here, some dating back as far as the Bronze Age. Investigators focus on the hundreds sunk during the 20th century's 2 world wars. Many of them took unknown quantities of munitions and lethal chemicals with them to the seabed. When the British Maritime and Coast Guard Agency compares the locations of known wrecks with the green mist, one stands out, the SS Mira.
The Mira is a World War I tanker ship that was full of gasoline. The Germans attacked with a submarine, and it sank to the bottom, right under where we see this plume.
Oil can give off noxious fumes when it burns, but scientists doubt that leaking oil from the 100-year-old wreck could account for the green mist and the troubling medical symptoms. The source of the strange toxic mist captured in the satellite image remains a mystery.